there's so much more that people need and that they are becoming aware of. And how can I, again, not tell them what to do, but guide them to that future and that place where they want to be. And that is unbelievably beautiful. Oh yes, this is always fun for me. So I was fortunate enough to grow up at the beach. I was this tow-headed little girl running around. We lived like a block from the beach, and we had this dog, and she would chase shadows. And it was a really free childhood, I would say. And it was a pretty small community. And then, moved to Texas, moved all of these different places. And I think that's a really common theme in my life, is the moving piece, because I really enjoy change. And that has informed both my career, is going from that child with all the freedom and a little bit sassy, but always a real sense of kindness, and moving that into working and having a career again in politics. And, oh, would you like to do this, Lisa? Yes, let's do that. And not having, I would say in the beginning, as much intentionality, right? But moving into spaces where it very much was. And at that point, when I understood, I have gained all of this knowledge and these experiences, and I felt really fortunate with all of those. And I find myself then moving into, with intentionality, things that are bigger or greater or more of an experience or more people. And then going to then doing things on my own, which felt like a really natural next step, and doing the consulting. And here's a really good, here's a strategic plan. These are your goals. This is how you can get there. And helping people realize those things that they want to achieve. And then in 2020, as we all moved into this really different time of this, I call it the great shift, things are changing a lot, and it gave many of us an opportunity to look at what we were doing and how we were showing up in the world. And for me, I really took a step back and realized that I was being called to do something different. That my calling was, how do I guide other people? How do I, in some sense, move out of the way for other people to come forward and occupy these spaces? And I really celebrate younger generations. I really celebrate people who are my own age and looking for something different to do in life, and realizing that in this shift, there's so much more that people need and that they are becoming aware of. And how can I, again, not tell them what to do, but guide them to that future and that place where they want to be. And that is unbelievably beautiful. I will say that. Yeah. So I love my life. And that's not to say that everything has been easy for all of us, right? We have these experiences that really challenge us, and we wonder why. Why is this happening to me? And for me, I am blessed with great resilience, and in some sense I would say, what do I need to take from this? What do I need to move forward with? What do I need to leave behind? And there's some things that we just leave behind, and that's okay, to be who we want to be in the future. So a very blessed life, I would say. Yeah. So shifts are really, they're really challenging because they're quite uncomfortable. And what I have discovered is the growth comes through that uncomfortableness. That growth comes through the shift itself, not necessarily oh, I'm going to go and do this other job, and then I move quickly to that other job, then I've lost this opportunity to really be intentional about what would I like to take with me. Again, it's that, what do I want to leave behind? What no longer serves me? You know, Kim, I think about as a child having so much energy, which I still do, and that energy really served me well. I was top of the class. I was all of these things. I was, hey, class clown and a bit mischievous. And as I grew older, some of that extra energy didn't serve me as well. It created stress. And so I had to learn how to better manage that. You know, I think many times we say, oh, I need to control that. I'm not certain we really control much, but we can manage things. And if we show that kindness to ourselves, and part of managing that and being able to move into new spaces with greater intentionality required me to find ways to ground myself more strongly. Otherwise, that energy just, in some sense, spewed everywhere, you know, and it's a lot, because I understand and know myself enough to know that that's a lot of energy coming at people, right? And it's great when you want to get people excited about things, but day to day, it's like, wow, okay, can we dial that back just a little bit? So, you know, I call that managing your wake, right? In front of you and behind you, right? You can be who we want to be. We need to be conscious, though, of the other people and how it affects them. And it doesn't mean we have to change who we are. It just means we have a responsibility to manage it if we're going to be as effective as we want to be. So as I move into new places now, and this is also part of the coaching I do, it is that intentionality. What are you uncomfortable about? What can you take with you? And how do you want to be? And I think, Kim, so much of life is about doing, at least in the United States, at least in the Western countries. Our value potentially, or our identity, is around doing. And I think it's great to do and to achieve. I mean, I am a super achiever. I love that feeling. But if we could also bring in who do we want to be and have that as part of the conversation as we move into new places, I think we can be more of who we are and feel more comfortable. And I think the people who are in those spaces with us will see that, right? Whether we're leading people or consulting people or coaching people, the more we know about ourselves and taking the time to do that, I think the more beneficial it is for everybody. You know, I have people who are intrigued by, right? I always, that strong sense of curiosity, that it's almost, I think sometimes people come with an inner knowing. It's like, okay, I want to move into this space, but I am uncomfortable, right? And I say, sit with that. Let's have a conversation. And so I have conversations with people. What are some things that you would like to achieve? 3 things you would like to achieve in the next however many months. How will you feel when you achieve that? What does it look like? And for some people, it's what would you miss out on if you don't do these things? And that's not a pressure piece, but if we can move out of our heads just a little bit and into, you know, the head is great and it serves us really well, but if it's the only thing guiding us, then I think we miss things. And so I would say, for anyone who wants to move into coaching, and for me it's the spiritual life coaching, so it's a little bit different, but still, find someone that you're comfortable with. You know, in the training I did for coaching, I am to create sacred space for people. A place where people can share anything they want without judgment. And there's so few of us who have that opportunity, because most of us are maybe not great listeners. And for a lot of my life, I wasn't a great listener. But the gift of giving somebody that, just say what you want to say, it is very freeing. And we get to test out who we are and who we want to be without somebody saying, you can't do that. You can't, no. And that, in some sense, takes away those pieces that we really want. So find somebody that you're comfortable with, You don't have to know all the reasons you want to get into coaching, right? I find actually that many people come in wanting something pretty straightforward and end up, right, in a very, very different place that surprises them and thrills them, you know? And goals are a piece of it. If I know what you want to achieve, my role is to guide you to that, not to tell you what to do. You decide what you want to do. So if you're willing to sit in a little bit of uncomfortableness, because I think that passes pretty quickly, you know, and imagine that future and think about that future that you want to create, I have found it to be deeply rewarding, not just, you know, from my perspective, but the people that choose to be guided by me, if you will. Yeah. So that is definitely the journey, the experiences and the journey I've had to get to this place. You know, I like to tell people, whatever you are bringing into this space, I probably have experienced in some way. So I appreciate that I have an understanding of what people are saying and some of the experiences they are having so that I can relate to it and understand how to guide them. And the other piece of it is they are in some ways guiding themselves. They are trusting themselves. And that is the beautiful part about coaching. You know, I share with people in the beginning, you have all the answers. And I will say that you see the eyes do this, like, why am I here? Right? Because you haven't had this space. You're looking for some answers, or you're looking for some healing, or you're looking for clarification, or you're tuning into, you know, a lot of the spiritual coaching is you're tuning into your intuition. You're tuning into that inner wisdom that you hold that I don't know that our world, at least in the Western world or in the United States, there's so much going on around us. It's hard to quiet ourselves, to listen to that, but it holds so much wisdom, and I'm fortunate because my intuition is really, really strong, and I don't view that as being, you know, woo-woo or out there. It's part of who we are. It's how we're made. But again, the outside influences, at least, you know, when we're younger and so easily impressionable, and then we start understanding that, oh, that's not okay, or oh, I have to, and eventually we start turning off those pieces that protect us, that guide us. And so some of the work I do is in coaching, and the power of coaching, if you will, is you do have the answers. It's all about the future, so you are building something. And I think for many people, they may come in a little hesitant, or they may come in a little, you know, wondering, like, is this going to work, and what is it going to be? And by about the second or third session, there is so much trust, and there's so much trust. People have so much trust in themselves, and I can take them through techniques where you're not just in your head all the time. You have to be okay coming into your heart and into your soul and your gut and all of these things. And again, for some people, it's like, I have no idea what you're saying, and that sounds really weird. And I understand that because we don't acknowledge that a lot in our lives. But the people who do, you know, it's like taking one client on she really wanted a spiritual journey, right? She designed it. She decided what it was. She decided how God was in her life. And at the end of that, when she felt, I know who I am now. And the other piece of that was, I'm home. Her body was her home, and she felt safe, and she felt protected, and she knew who she was. And sure enough, she then could say, I am going to change my job. I am going to do something else. I want all of these things that I've been striving for, and now that I know myself, I feel assured, and that next step I am taking. And that is such a great question. And also, I find that I end up coaching quite a few people in this space as well. I I started practicing meditation, right? Just being quiet. That's an easy way to say it, and being just quiet sometimes and just sitting in the quietness, which again, to some people, they're like, I'm really uncomfortable with that. I understand. My mind goes 5,000 miles an hour. I want to be doing things all of the time. And then somewhere along the line, Kim, I really had this realization that sometimes it's not always about working harder, right? Oh, I can fix this. I just need to work harder. Or I can make this job work. I just need to work harder. It's all up to me, right? And so I find now that I get to a centered place, and I talk about things that ground us, that are always with us, right? We think a lot of times that everything that can ground us or make us happy or all of these other things are somewhere out there. They're elusive. I just need to find it. And actually, I believe it's all within us, or right next to us. And one of those things is just breathing, just sitting there and just like, and I know that sounds woo-woo, but it is a way to cleanse yourself. It is a way to tell your brain, take it down a notch, right? It's okay. Not a fight or flight thing. Take it down. The other thing that we always have with us is our spirituality, our grounding. And again, if it's God, if it's your higher self, if it's energy, if it's spirit, wherever you define your spirituality, right, that's how you stay really grounded. And if you're listening to those pieces, the third piece for me really is nature. I can sit outside and stare up at the sky and wonder, right? And that fills me back up, because I have this really strong sense of curiosity, not just in nature and in people, but how I look at situations. You know, for me, I have really been able to have more energy and stay motivated by the kindness I show myself. And part of that kindness is grounding myself. Kind of that part of that too is having boundaries. You know, many people say to have a boundary is selfish, or to focus on yourself is selfish. And I understand, because I think that's how many of us are conditioned. But actually, I find, I'll give a coaching example. Somebody is being really harsh on themselves and saying, I can't believe I was stupid, or I failed, or, you know, really things. And I say, okay, let's switch roles for just a second. Okay, I'm going to tell you what you just shared with me, and I'd like for you to respond. And typically people respond with, oh my gosh, like, be gentle with, like get your knee off your neck. And then, so it's like we're always outward, but we spend less time being inward, being kind to ourselves and saying, and bringing back in that curiosity, I wonder what it would have been like if I had done this. And it's not a second guessing. It's opening space in your brain to explore so you really can learn. I mean, isn't that a huge part of why we're here? To learn, to experience, to heal even, whatever those things are. And if we're coming at ourselves like an angry parent, I'm not certain what we're learning except to be an angry parent, right? Versus I'm going to be kind and you know, all of those other pieces. And again, I realize that is a shift for a lot of people, but I say try it. It literally changes your brain. Changes your brain and the way your brain responds to things. So as I stay motivated, some of the things that motivate me are obviously the coaching and talking to people and hearing about their successes and how they're challenged. And, you know, my tagline is clear your path. How are you clearing your path? What's in the way? What do we need to move out of the way? And then I do a lot of reading on research, right? Neuroscience research. And I just read a really interesting book about the spiritual brain and how we're pre-wired for spirituality and what that brings to us. So, such a great question. I would say if if you can find a way to turn off some of that external noise, for me, I went to an all-women's college, and I also have a minor in gender and women's studies, and have spent a lot of time working for women as chief of staff and other roles. And I would say we are told too often that women lack confidence. And I disagree with that. I really do. I think that the way we have set up systems, the way we have said it is the right way to manage or the right way to be in the world, did not consider enough voices in that planning. That's what I like about the shift that is happening. We are welcoming more voices. And so I don't think you as a woman lack confidence. I don't know that you have the support system you need. I don't know that you have had a space to talk about the things I don't know if you've had the space to talk about the things honestly that you want to do, or that you aspire to do, or the things that concern you. If we don't express those things, they get further and further down inside of us, and I think they produce more, we can say, fear or uncertainty. So I encourage women to find people who listen, right, to what they have to say, and listen to their dreams and ask them how they want to get there. And you can do some advising, but careful. We each have our own path. We each find our path in a different way. And I think that is the beauty of who people are, that amalgamation of these different strengths and different experiences and different ways of being, that, again, I can't tell you how to make your journey